So yeah, you're Hungarian. My mother was born in Budapest,
Oh, okay.
so I'm half
Yeah, both.
Hungarian.
Well, there
We had
you
something in common.
go.
Well, pleased to meet you. I'm Chris, and you're Chris. Is it Krisztina with the Z in there, or Christina like normal?
So, as a half Hungarian, you should know that SZ just is S. So, in Hungarian, SZ is unit, and it's just S. So, it's Krisztina Szabó.
Zabo. Yeah, that's what I thought because I knew people with the last name Zabo.
Szabó. It's
Zabo
Szabó.
because the
Yeah,
S is silent.
the Z is silent, actually. It's not.
Is it
It's not
really?
silenced.
Wow.
So, if you
Yeah.
little small Hungarian lesson, but there are 46 letters in the Hungarian alphabet, and each is a very specific sound. So if you saw an S by itself, it would be sh. You see SZ together, that's the English s. So just an S.
Yeah, my mother taught us to say chocolom. Chocolom.
Chocolum.
Yeah, chocolom. Yep. Okay, so here we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another podcast. You will not believe who we have here. We have Hungarian Canadian mezzo soprano Krisztina Szabó. She's a highly sought after artist in both North America and Europe, renowned for her exceptional musicianship and stagecraft. In the 2024-25 season, of course, she graced the stage with the Tafelmusik Baroque Orchestra and Handel's Messiah, my favorite. Portrayed Judith in Bartók's Bluebeard's Castle with Edmonton Opera, and performed Madame Larina in Tchaikovsky's Eugene Onegin and Margret in Berg's Wozzeck with the Canadian Opera Company. Additionally, she will embark on a tour of George Benjamin's Into the Little Hill. Kristina's illustrious career has seen her perform on all major opera and concert stages across Canada, including regular appearances with the Canadian Opera Company, Vancouver Opera, Tapestry Opera, Early Music Vancouver, and Tafelmusik Baroque Orchestra. Internationally, she has performed with San Francisco Opera, Opera Philadelphia, Stat Hater, I believe, Stat Hater,
At theater.
Klagenfurt, State
Yeah.
Theater, you have Klagenfurt, and Wexford Festival Opera. In 2018, Krisztina made her debut at the Royal Opera in Netherlands. My father's Dutch as well. Netherlands Opera in George Benjamin's Lessons in Love and Violence, recording that earned a Grammy nomination for Best Opera Recording. She has been nominated twice for Outstanding Performance by the Dora Awards. It was part of the award-winning ensemble in Copernicus with a K, Claude Vivier with Against the Grain Theater. Her discography, wow, she's got a lot here. Dean Bury, The Highwayman, Found Frozen, Songs of Jeffrey Ryan, New Jewish Music, Volume 3, Anna Sokolovic, Sirens, Talasker Players Where Words and Music Meet. Krisztina has also been involved in numerous digital projects, including Canadian Opera Company's Bluebeard's Castle, Tafelmusik's The Voice of Vivaldi. She also completed her postgraduate studies at the Guildhall School of Music and Drama in London, England. You really love opera. So do I. After earning her undergraduate degree at the University of Western Ontario, Krisztina currently resides in Vancouver and Toronto with her husband, Christian Clark, and their daughter, that's not
Phoebe.
pronounced Phoebe, is it? With an I?
Yep, that's
Phoebe?
Phoebe. Yep, that's
Oh,
right.
Phoebe. And is an assistant professor of voice and opera at the University of British Columbia School of Music. Thank you, Krisztina, for being here on the show. Welcome.
Thank you very much. It's overwhelming to get your bio read back
It's
to
so
you.
good to it's so good to see you, and so happy that you're here. We're able to connect today. So let's go back to the beginning. What inspired you to pursue a career in opera and classical music?
Well, classical music has sort of been a part of my life since I was a child. At the age of 9, I auditioned for the Toronto Children's Chorus, led by Jean Ashworth Bartle at the time, and that was my first foray into classical music. And it was just because the chorus had sent letters to all the schools in the area, in the GTA area. I was born and raised in Mississauga, and
That's where
Just
I am.
for children. Okay. For children who could sing well. So I think it was my grade three teacher, knew that I liked to sing and said, "Do you want to audition for this?" And I did, and that's when classical music entered my life, as a singer. So that was at the age of 9, and I was also taking. That was the same age that I started taking piano lessons as well. So, um, yeah, it's always been a part of my life, but I never considered it to be a viable career option. As the daughter of immigrants, I was supposed to be a doctor. That did not work out for them. So, when I was looking towards what I was going to do, study in university, suddenly occurred to me that I could make music, you know, a livelihood. And so I went to Western, but I was actually in the music education department, because Lord knows my father would not have understood if I tried to just do performance. So it was only acceptable because I was going to be a teacher. So I started as a piano major, music education major, and then in my fourth year, I started to get a lot of performing opportunities as a singer. And it's at that point that I thought, hey, maybe I can do something with this singing thing. And I started looking into possible master's programs or postgraduate programs. At the Guildhall, didn't offer a master's program at the time, so it was just it was called the post diploma vocal training program. So it's not very fancy, but it was a 1-year artist diploma essentially. So I guess it was so fourth year at university is when I sort of decided I was going to do something with classical voice. But I had no way of knowing what that was going to be, what that looked like. I had no clue. I was very ignorant of the realities of the career. So just kind of walked in blindly, thinking maybe my voice will carry me somewhere.
And what brought you to the fact that your vocal range was a mezzo soprano, not a mezzo or a soprano?
Mezzo soprano, well, mezzo, if you just say mezzo, it's the same thing. Mezzo soprano means like mid soprano. So high soprano, we have coloratura is the highest. There's my cat.
Yep.
Soprano, there's some variations on that, lyric soprano, light lyric. And then we have mezzo soprano and then contralto. So mezzo soprano, sort of medium soprano. It's just where your voice kind of lies, honestly. I mean, there's the color of the voice as well. So my voice is a little bit richer perhaps, but it's more about where I like to sing. And I could never high notes, I could visit them, but I didn't want to live there. So I chose to stay where I felt comfortable, which was the mezzo soprano range.
Yeah. So, what challenges have you faced in your career, and how did you overcome them?
Challenge. I'm still here, which is slightly miraculous. I mean, the business has changed so much even from when I started as a young singer. But I think just sticking with this career and is the number one challenge. It's being a self-employed musician in Canada, which does not necessarily support the arts. A lot of young people in the career now have to hold other jobs as well as they try and pursue a career in singing.
Hmm.
I was fortunate enough to get accepted into the Canadian Opera Company Young Artist Program, and that was super fortunate. So for 3 years, I had steady income, lots of opportunities, and I could audition, and that helped. That helped, but it was the time after the Young Artist Program was done where it's kind of make or break. And there's some of my colleagues who were in the program with me are still singing, and some are not, and it's just about a luck and fortitude and stick to itiveness, but I guess I'm fairly stubborn, so that was challenge number one, is just to keep going, honestly. Challenge The second challenge would be having a family and being a singer. Being pregnant, you can't I can't roll around on the stage when I'm 8 months pregnant. So I lost a fair amount of work when I was pregnant, and then I was really
Mm.
honestly very nervous whether my career would continue after I'd had a child for a variety of reasons. But somehow I got through that as well. And, that has been very challenging, having a family and being on the road quite a lot. I have a very supportive husband, but I missed a lot of milestones with my daughter's life, and that's hard, to know. So that was challenge number two, I would say. Um, and then, now that I'm 52 and I'm, still in the career, the challenge of a little bit of ageism, a little bit of misogyny, and, there's just, it's harder for women as they age, full stop, regardless of the career. But as women, yeah, it just gets a little more difficult as you get older. So that's my current challenge.
Yeah, I heard a 96-year-old opera singer, and she was singing beside a video of her as a 23-year-old opera singer, and she has
Mhm.
not lost that voice, not at all. So there's no, I wouldn't say ageism. I would say there's no retirement age for an opera singer. I mean, if there was, Dick Van Dyke would be 100, but he'd be sitting in a wheelchair right now. But look at him, he's still dancing, still singing. So I mean, you can be a 100-year-old, 105-year-old opera singer. Your voice is still good. Your voice is still good. Um, I think it's
It's
amazing.
different. Sorry, I think it's just a little bit different for men versus women. There are more roles. There are more roles for aging men. There are smaller compromised roles. Of course, I can keep singing until the end of time, but will they hire me? Is the question. So for women, there are fewer roles for older women, and then there's just a little less. Grace when it comes to hiring older women. There's more scrutiny, and they want the next fresh young thing, and that's fair. But I don't happen to be that anymore. So
Or you can end up being like 9 years old, like Mila Willighagen, and sing Nessun Dorma in front of like, oh, that was amazing. So, I mean, it doesn't matter how old you are. You can be a 3-year-old opera singer, a 96-year-old opera singer. It's awesome. I just love opera. My mother loved Evita. She loved all opera. She loved Carmen. She loved everything about opera. It was amazing. Um, what is your favorite opera to perform and why?
what is my favorite opera? Hmm, that's hard to say. I do a lot of contemporary music. And so I'm often singing roles once and never again. But I have had the privilege of doing Bluebeard's Castle by Hungarian composer Béla Bartók a few times, and that's a role that I really enjoy singing, and I don't have to think about in the same way. It's ingrained in my body. So I've really enjoyed singing Judith. Um, in Bluebeard's Castle. That's, I think, one of my favorite roles to sing.
How's your education at University of Western Ontario influenced your career?
Mm. Well, I was very fortunate. So at the University of Western Ontario, firstly, I was a piano major, and actually, my piano prof just passed away recently, Dr. Damiana Bratush. She was a
Mm.
Bartók specialist, and but at the same time, when you get to, I guess, any university, you're required to be in an ensemble. So I auditioned for choir because that seemed pretty logical, and I met my voice teacher, Daryl Edwards, Dr. Daryl Edwards, he teaches at the University of Toronto. At the time, he was at Western, and he took me aside and said, "Do you take singing lessons?" And I said, "No," because up until that point, I hadn't had any private singing lessons. And so he said, "Well, would you like to?" And I said, "Yes, I would. Please and thank you." And so I started studying with him on the side of my degree. So did was still doing piano, was still a piano major for 2 years, but having my Saturday voice lessons with my teacher. And I think that changed the trajectory of my life because he is still the person that I go to if I have any vocal issues. He's an incredible mentor for me. He's been so supportive through my entire career. So I think Western and meeting Daryl Edwards really influenced and changed my life. So yeah.
So, how do you balance your performances between North America and Europe?
I would say at this point, most of my work is in Canada. At one point I was doing more stuff in the States, and a smattering in Europe. I'm not there as much anymore. I think COVID's kind of slowed that down a little bit for me, and but my career has been predominantly in Canada. So, it's a gig economy. So, I go where the offers are, and the offers were mostly in North America. But I would be happy to go to Europe. It just didn't work out that way for me. So I have had some great contracts over there, but that's not where most of the bulk of my work has been.
But you remember performing in Europe at some point, right? Do you have a
Mhm.
memorable moment from those performances that you want to share?
Memorable moments. Um, Yeah, there's been a few. I mean, I was part of Wexford Opera had just opened their new opera house at the time, and I was part of their opening season. Um, and that was pretty exciting. It's a beautiful venue, amazing acoustic, and Canadian wood, which was kind of random, but felt like a piece of home was in this lovely opera house. That was very, very memorable. Obviously, my Covent Garden debut was extremely memorable. Walking into that epic venue and just realizing that, wow, I'm here in this, and I'm going to be singing in this place. It's pretty special. So that one stands out for sure.
Do you ever catch yourself singing at home, like in the kitchen when you're doing dishes or elsewhere in the backyard? Or do you just keep the singing professionally? It's an
um,
honest
uh,
question.
no, it's fair. I don't sing at home, but I do sing in the car. So if the radio's on, I'm generally singing along to the radio, and that's fun. But singing feels like work for the most part. So no, I don't sing anywhere else. Anywhere else, just the car.
How do you approach promoting contemporary Canadian works?
Well, I've been fortunate to work with a lot of Canadian, small indie Canadian companies that invest in Canadian works. So early on, one of my first gigs outside of the Young Arts program was with Queen of Pudding's Music Theatre, which is no longer in business, and they were a wonderful company, and they promoted Anna Sokolovic, who you mentioned. I'm on one of her recordings, but it was one of the first things I ever did, and it really I got the bug, for contemporary music. It was so exciting to be doing works that no one has done before. There's no recording that you have to. There's no comparison. You're creating in the moment. It's just a really exciting thing to be a part of. So I definitely was attracted to projects that came along that were in the same sort of um, line of Canadian contemporary works, and I just became really passionate about including that if I were to ever you know uh, do a recital program of my own. But it's mostly about my excitement to partner with amazing companies like Queen of Puddings, and now with Tapestry Opera, and also Against the Grain Theatre. They've done some wonderful things. Canadian music, a Canadian art song project. So I've done a lot of Canadian contemporary music, and it's really exciting to be a part of.
Yeah, I watched Puccini's Tosca for the first time at the Living Arts Center here, and a lot of the sopranos and the tenors and those that are involved in the performance. I'm going, this must be fantastic. How did you prepare for a role like Judith in Bartók's Bluebeard's Castle? Like, how do you prepare for a role like that?
I mean, you have to learn the music, so it's just sit down at a piano and start plunking out notes. Yeah, I got the score. You sort of assess the scope of the score, how you can break it down for yourself in a practice room. But it's a lot of note plunking, and getting to know the score, the language, obviously, because my parents raised me speaking Hungarian at home. I was able to access the language fairly easily, which not everyone can do. Hungarian does not come in handy very often, but at least it comes in handy for Bluebeard's Castle. Um, so yeah, just work. But there was some things about the language I'd have to go. I at the time go to my mother and say, what does this mean? And
Mhm.
and then sort of researching, other singers and other performances and how they interpreted it. And because I am a little removed, being, I was born in Canada, so I didn't grow up with Hungarian folk song, and is so intrinsic to the
Mhm.
score, that yeah, I learned a lot working with other Hungarians as well, looking at the score. But yeah, you go, well, in Bluebeard's Castle there are seven doors, so you kind of go door by door, learn your notes, work with the coach. It's really important to partner with a coach who will play this music for you, because often you can't play it yourself. It's too complex, so you have to go to a good coach and get that ready. So I've worked with some great pianists over the years.
Yeah, a little bit of trivia here. My mother was born in Budapest, Hungary,
Mhm.
but her father, my maternal grandfather, was
Mhm.
born in Transylvania, Romania. So I'm part
Oh,
Dracula, just
amazing.
so you know.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah, my parents were both born
but
in a small town called H, which is outside of Győr in Hungary. So it's a
mm,
small little town, but my father was one of the 56
yeah.
56ers. That's
So
cool.
can you tell us about your experience working with the Tafelmusik Baroque Orchestra?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I've worked with them quite a few times over the years. I've done their very famous Messiah performances. They do that every year. And if you are fortunate enough to come to the sing along Messiah, which is the last show in the, like, we usually do four show or so performances. The last show is a sing along, and Ivar Torrens, the conductor of Tafelmusik, will dress up as Handel himself. So it's pretty a special thing to be a part of. But they're a wonderful, wonderful Baroque orchestra. They've been very good to me over the years. I've done not just Messiahs, but some other oratorios, and one feature concert, which was a mixed bag of things. But yeah, I love working with that orchestra. They're so responsive. They're just wonderful players, wonderful organization, and Ivar's is fabulous. So.
Wow, yeah, that's quite a story. I was wondering, like, what was it like making your Royal Opera and Netherlands opera debuts? What was going through your mind? What was your mindset at that time?
Well, the Royal Opera House debut came first, and it was because of George Benjamin, the composer who wrote Lessons in Love and Violence. He had come to Canada and conducted the Toronto Symphony Orchestra, a performance of his opera Written on Skin, at which Barbara
Mm.
Hannigan, who's quite a famous Canadian soprano, was singing. She had debuted the role, and she had recommended me to him for the role in Written on Skin. And he's very tough and exacting, but an incredible composer. And I had a wonderful time working with him then. And he called me up and said, Krisztina, I'm writing a new opera and I'm writing a part for you in it. Will you do it? And I was like, well, no one has ever written anything for me like that. So yes, please. Um,
Wow.
yeah, it was pretty exciting. So, and I was I'm gonna have to think how old I was. 2018, I guess. And yeah, I was 45. At the age of 45, I thought my time to debut at the Royal Opera House had come and gone. Like I just didn't think it was going to happen. But it was because of George Benjamin that I was able to do that, and I owe him a debt of gratitude. It's a bucket list thing for any singer, any opera singer. So it was very special to be part of that production at the Royal Opera House. And then we had a week off after we finished those shows, and then we went to Amsterdam and did it again. And that was more that was less stressful, I'm going to say, because Royal Opera House, has a certain cachet, and uh, yeah, it's a lot more stressful. But Amsterdam was just fun. We just had a ball, and we'd been doing the show for weeks and weeks at that point. So we gotten to know each other quite well, and it was a lovely cast. So yeah, we had a fun time.
Yeah, we had we had the lovely Christina Johnson from the UK. She's a coloratura soprano, and she was relating to a story how she could only learn Hebrew in 1 week just because she was making her Hebrew debut in an opera. So she had to learn that language pretty quickly. So what about
Mm.
you? Like I know that like what language haven't you sung in yet?
I've sung in a bunch. I don't. I've never sung in Dutch. um, yeah, I've sung the standard French, German, Italian, English, Hungarian,
Mhm.
obviously. A little bit of Arabic. I did something in a piece that had Arabic. I believe it was Mandarin in a piece that, but just a little bit, Spanish. Um, gosh, yeah, I think a little bit of Gaelic as well. So, I'm sure there's languages
Wow.
I haven't sung in, but yeah, definitely not Dutch.
That is amazing. Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that. Because every uh, soprano, mezzo soprano, whoever, coloratura, and even a contralto, they all have learned to sing in these languages that you mentioned. And I knew you were going to say that. I wasn't. I was like, I guess if you're an opera singer, you have to learn different languages. Like I heard someone sing a song in Ukrainian, which was interesting. Ukrainian's
Hmm.
an interesting language, especially when you're singing. It's like wow.
It's
But
actually very similar to Russian, but it's
yeah,
actually it's easier, it's more pure of in their vowel sounds than Russian. So I actually enjoy singing Ukrainian. Russian, I find very hard to sing in.
do you have a what do you call those people that help you with your language? Not a linguist. Those that help
Diction.
you to sing. Yeah, to learn to sing Italian or any of those other languages, and how your voice inflection and how you supposed to say these words properly, and to
Yeah.
remember when you're on the stage to sing like that, and you're going to make a mistake. So, oh, one of this Italian person in the audience is going to go scold me for what I said. Like how do you keep it
Hopefully not
going?
Hopefully not the Italians. It's easier to sing in Italian, but yeah, we have diction coaches. If you're singing in another language, they'll usually have a diction coach on the production. So, and if you're, a good student, if you're preparing your role adequately, you should be working with someone who will give you the appropriate diction for the language you're singing in. But yeah, for example, at the Canadian Opera Company, we just did Eugene Onegin, which was in Russian. So we had a Russian diction coach, Ilana, and I'm sure I made her crazy because I was really struggling with that Russian. But we also had a German coach for Wozzeck as well. So those people are worth their weight in gold.
Is there someone in particular that you wish you could collab with in an opera or a musical?
I
Like
don't
maybe you
know.
and Renee Fleming together on stage,
I
or Elaine
would be
Page.
I would be terrified. So I don't know. I mean, Celine Dion, if we're going for like,
Oh,
yeah, if
Celine
we're
Dion,
just we're
yeah.
just
Well, I don't think she's opera
you know,
singer,
she's not an opera singer, but you said
but
collab. You said
but
music. Didn't mean
but Britney Spears is a soprano, and Christina Aguilera
Britney
is a
Spears is
mezzo soprano.
Britney Spears
She's a
is not a
great
soprano.
soprano.
She is not a soprano.
She
I've
is
been
a
listening to
soprano.
Britney Spears. Well, she smoked her voice away, so she sounds more like I would say mezzo or an alto at this point. So
I didn't realize you could do that. Really? I thought once you're soprano, you're always soprano.
your voice actually changes with age. Um, I've lost a couple of my higher notes, and I have a couple of more notes at the bottom end of my range now. So yeah, your voice changes with hormones and age. Yeah, and smoke. So I don't smoke though.
Yeah. So what was it like? Like how did you, what was going through your mind, Christina? How does it feel And how did it feel when you received a Grammy nomination for Best Opera Recording?
Well, it was part of a team. So, I mean, I was excited for everybody involved in the production that it won a Grammy nomination. It's kind of otherworldly to get a Grammy nomination, it's so far away. It feels very far away when you're doing opera, particularly. But yeah, it was very exciting, and I was excited for George and for the entire team of Lessons in Love. So, yeah, it was pretty thrilling.
Yeah. And you also won a Dora Award for Best Ensemble. What does that mean to you?
Oh, that was very special too. That was for Copernicus with Against the Grain Theater, and that was a very special project as well. A small ensemble group, a small ensemble cast, and everyone is equal partnership, and it's just and Against the Grain's a wonderful company, and I've worked with them a lot, so it was really I was happy for them and for all of us for that Dora nomination award. Yeah, we
Yeah.
won.
Yeah. Do you feel like you've arrived, or do you think there's still more to go?
Um, I don't know what that means exactly, feeling like you've arrived. I think you know, as a singer, you're constantly evolving. The career is evolving, the challenges are changing, and everything changed in 2020. And the landscape of
Mhm.
classical music in Canada changed as well. So, if I thought I was feeling when I hit my 40s, I would say I felt like I had arrived in a way that I knew what I could do as an artist. I knew what my voice was, and what I could do with it, and what I wanted to express, and I felt like confident in my abilities. And 2020 kind of threw everything out the window. So um, you know, so I don't know if I've arrived. I'm still here, and that's all I can ask for at the moment.
Is there a part in opera or that you always wanted to do but you weren't able to?
I always wanted to sing Carmen, actually. Um, Carmen is like the mezzo dream role, and so there's different differentiations even within voice type. So I'm a higher mezzo, so I was always told I'm not low enough for or dark or warm enough to do Carmen. So I've sung every aria in Carmen, for opera galas and whatnot, fundraisers and donor events, but I've never actually done the whole role, and that would have been fun, but not to be. I'm too old for that now.
How did you select your pieces for your discography? Did you have help with that, or did you choose them on your own?
Discography, all of those wonderful CDs were projects that people came to me with. So I have not actually produced my own CD of my my own choices. So I've been asked to be parts of projects. So which I'm very fortunate. But yeah, they asked me, and I said yes.
Can you share any insights in your digital projects with the Canadian Opera Company and other organizations?
Well, the Canadian Opera Company, we did Bluebeard's Castle as a digital project, and Adam McGoyan was the director of that. Originally, pre-COVID, it was supposed to have been a fully staged production, but we did that. It pivoted as everyone was pivoting at the time. So it was really interesting process because it was just after Omicron's hit, and we had gone into rehearsal, but it was, we're supposed to be masked. We couldn't meet the orchestra. We were going to record separately from the orchestra, which I thought was crazy, but it worked fine. But yeah, and then because the orchestra could not even record in the beginning of January because of Omicron, so we ended up delaying that recording and then doing it in February. We were supposed to have done it earlier. Um, so it was kind of a wild time, but it was cool because Bluebeard's Castle only has two people, so we were quite safe doing it. And Adam McGoyan is a wonderful just warm, lovely director, and we had a lot of fun in the rehearsal room. And yeah, so on the day of filming, it was 2 days of filming, and the orchestra had finally, recorded their piece of it, and we were singing to playback, basically, which feels very not opera to me, but it worked out. I thought it was a beautiful production. But it was a crazy couple of days of filming in the Four Seasons. The luxury, though, is if something goes astray, you can stop and re-record and go back and film again, which you don't have in live performance. So it did
No.
feel like it felt like a luxury. So yeah, it was pretty cool. It's a very dark take on the show. I'm not that it's a cheerful show necessarily, but yeah, it was great. And then Tapestry Opera did some really fun digital projects during the pandemic, and it was like digital shorts, and we met via Zoom and created this whole project together with our ideas. And they encouraged us to bring our own ideas to the table, which, to be honest, like, I'm an opera singer, so I've been told what to do my entire career. So coming up with my own ideas, I'm like, you want me to have an idea? So my idea was to do habanera, which is one of Carmen's arias, except sung to an ABBA song.
Oh,
And
wow.
so we did it, and it was super cute, and I was really pleased with my idea. That one of my ideas got picked, and it was really fun.
I know this is a kind of like a crazy question, but knowing that you're a mezzo-soprano, if you were given a song like a Bee Gees or Britney Spears, whatever, would you put an opera spin on it, or would you just sing it the way it's supposed to be sung? Like, how would it sound if you did an opera spin on it? Whatever song. Baby Beautiful
So
by
I mean,
Christina Aguilera, and you sang that mezzo-soprano.
well, I would try and sing it like her, because it would sound ridiculous, as in with a classical spin on it.
Oh.
I'm essentially, there's much more vibrato in classical singing, um, so there's not that kind of straight, kind of held, belt, or they do vibrate, but not in the same way. And the where the vowels are placed and how the vowels are shaped are
Hmm.
different between classical and pop, or even musical theater. So, but how would I do it? I mean, I sing along to the radio, like I say, like with, I mean, I'll try and pop it up. But as my sister used to tell me when I sang pop, even as a child, she's like, "That sounds too nice. No, don't do it." So sounds too square, So
Yeah.
I'm not doing it on purpose. It's just the voice I was born with. So, but I would love to sound like Christina Aguilera. That sounds like fun.
Yeah. Uh, so, what does receiving Emerging Artist Grant from Canada Council signify for you?
Well, that was in my 30s. So it was at a time where, it was sort of that post young artist program, trying to launch my career, and to have the support of the Canada Council was incredibly helpful at the time. And it just felt like it was an acknowledgement of, uh, of what I've done so far, and that they were willing to support me in that next phase. So yeah, those granting bodies are very important, especially for classical musicians, because there's often a lot of waiting time. Like, oh, your voice is not quite ready to go for X repertoire, so then you have to sort of
Right.
bide your time, get that second job, and try and wait until your voice matures. So that kind of grant is very helpful, and that was certainly helpful for me.
Terrific. There's one thing I want to talk to you about. Like, you were honored with a star on the Music Walk of Fame in Mississauga. That's in Port Credit, actually.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And I've seen that star, and I was like going nuts. I'm thinking I'll be interviewing her, and I'm literally going to. And on Canada Day, I'll be in Port Credit. I'm going to actually go and take a picture of that, and I'm going to add it to the podcast to say, "Look, everyone, there it is." I love it.
I
I think
can.
it's
I think I have a picture from the ceremony somewhere. If you want me to pull it up, I can send it to you.
yeah, it's great though. I just love it, and I feel that those music that music Walk of Fame is a good idea. I mean, why not? We need
Hmm.
something like that. They're pretty good, and I'm not sure if Gordon Lightfoot is on there, but yeah, but it's really terrific that your name is on there. That's amazing.
It
So
felt very surprising, but it was exciting.
why would it be surprising though? I think you deserve it.
I did. I think I was in the first year that it. I didn't. There was nothing like that existed, so it was a surprise that there was even something like that at all. And then I was just, the only classical musician on it, and I don't know who nominated me, but I'm very grateful. And it made my parents' day. They got to meet Mayor Hazel McCallion,
Hmm.
and it was pretty special to have that. And yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome. Oh yeah, and so all right. So you're now the assistant professor of voice and opera at UBC School of Music. Does that
That's right.
impact your career at all, or do you try to separate them?
Um, well, I am an assistant professor of voice, which means it's a tenure track position, and there's an expectation of research, and my research is performance.
Hmm.
So they actually want me to perform. It's good for the school. It's good for recruitment. But yes, obviously, scheduling wise, it absolutely affects how much I can and can't do in terms of performing. I just have to be a little more judicious about what I pick. But it hasn't been a problem so far with my teaching. I'm a fairly anal retentive teacher in terms of preparing for my absences with my students. I want them to always feel supported. So I think I'm fairly organized in that front. I mean, I'm sure there are a few complaints out there, but hopefully not too many. Um, and I make them very aware of the expectations that I have as their teacher. Um, that I'm expected to continue to perform. And I think it's exciting for students to know that their teacher's still out there in the business, doing the thing. And the university is incredibly supportive. So, but I don't perform as much, but that's fine.
Well, I did have one last question, but I want to insert this second last one. So I have two questions. So this
Okay.
one is here we go. You ready to answer this one? I don't know if you can answer this. So what do you think about AI music? Like, would you ever loan your voice to sing an opera or with Muriel Lanza or
Oh.
you know?
I don't know. I haven't really thought about it, to be perfectly honest. I'd like to think that AI or opera is safe from AI, but maybe it's not. You know, I I mean, it would be cool to do a duet with Mario Lanza. That was actually one of my dad's favorite singers. Um, but I don't know. I feel like we should avoid that in classical music.
Well, if they came to you and said, Christina, we want you to perform with Maria Callas, so we'll give you $1 million just for your voice, and then you would go, no, 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 no. I mean, the money is
I
there,
feel.
but no, no, no.
I don't know. It feels strange. It feels.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. I don't think I would do it even
That's
for the
funny.
money.
Yeah, I don't know. So what advice would you give to aspiring opera singers? They want to be just like you, Christina. We want to sing just like you. What do we do? What's the first thing we do?
um, find supportive, surround yourself with supportive people that are going to be there for you come, you know, through thick and thin. Because this career is not easy. It's not easy on your ego. It's not easy on anything. Your physical well-being, your emotional well-being. It's hard. It's a hard career. I think I said that I stepped into this career with a lot of ignorance, and I think that had I known how hard it would be, I'm not sure that I would have done it. So yeah, it's a hard career. So find that supportive group of people that's going to be there for you. Um, be aware of the pitfalls, and stick to your path. There's a lot of with classical music, you're constantly being told things.
Hmm.
You have a coach, you have a teacher, you have directors, you have a conductor. Everyone's giving you feedback. And so you have to find what your artistry is, who you are as an artist, what your voice, what
Hmm.
you want your voice to do. It's very important to listen to yourself. It's You're being bombarded. There's reviews. There's so many people, audience people coming up to you saying things. You have to know what's true for you. So it again, you need a lot of fortitude and strength to survive that. But
Yeah.
you know yeah, know what's true for you, and know what you want to do as an artist, and stick to it. And it's not going to be easy, but if you have that support from people around you and a lot of tenacity, then you can do it as well.
This is awesome, Christina. Thank you so much for generosity, for your time, and I really appreciate it. I'm so glad that you were on the show. Everyone, we're gonna link everything from her down below, including her music. Give her a like, give her a follow. Oh, great voice! I love mezzo sopranos. Oh, I love them all. Um, you know what I mean? Their voices. Thank you so much, Christina, for being on our show. We're gonna end the stream. Way right there, Christina. Okay, everyone. Thank you. Thank you so much, Christina.
I thank you.
You're welcome.